Pete, and I'm on a journey to seek answers to the questions that have crossed all of our minds. What happens to us when we die? Is there an afterlife? I'm a regular guy who discovered the gift of psychic mediumship in my 30s. My passion for history and the unknown have put me right here, right now. My mantra for anything paranormal is, we don't know much and anything is possible. Join me as we find our way through the stories, evidence, and experiences of the paranormal and beyond in search of answers, even if that leads to more questions. Are you with me? Hey everybody, welcome to the Paranormal Pete Show. This is episode 103. We're here on WLTK-DB.com. It's right behind me here. If you're watching, if you're just listening, that's great too. Welcome to the show. We've got an amazing special guest for you tonight, spirit medium Jennifer Page, and we'll be bringing her on just shortly. I'm excited to talk to her and hear about her stories and her experience in the world of spirit, and probably beyond too. We'll see where the conversation takes us, but excited for the show tonight. And I'm going to say that I'm starting my vacation from the show next week, actually, but I'll be back in July. And a couple of station notes. The station will be off on June 21st through the 24th. So mark your calendars for that. But hey, if you have gone to the website and seen the function there, you can actually sync the station calendar with your calendar so you can see all the cool shows coming up and you don't ever miss your favorite one. If you're busy like all of us, right, and you can't catch the live show, well, you can always catch the replay or the archive version, video or audio, wherever you stream podcasts from. It's always on YouTube or our Facebook pages, but just look up WLTK-DB on streaming services and you'll find us there. So you can always catch the archive versions of the shows. And if you haven't been through the website recently, you may notice a ton of shows on the station. It's great. Big thanks to Todd Bates, station owner, your host of Haunted Voices. And he's just done such a great job of getting more shows and keeping the content coming. So there's a lot of great content. If you like this show, I guarantee you'll like other shows on the station too. So be sure to check it out. And if you like the intro music to the show, that's my band Steady Rock Cosmonaut. That's a song called Magic. That's, I think, probably one of the most favorite ones that we play, and one of my most favorite ones that we play. You can check out steadyrockcosmonaut.com or all the audio streaming services. You can find us on there. So hopefully you check it out. Hopefully you like the music. It's a lot of fun. This weekend, on Saturday, I'm very honored to be taking part in a benefit for Mission 22, which is an organization that helps mental health and they help veterans out. And so what the event is there's like over 20 mediums and we're all doing short sessions, live sessions. And so I'll be on at 1:45 p.m. in the afternoon. So the whole event goes 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific time. And it's hosted by Debbie Romero with Transcend with Debbie. And so you want to go to transcendwithdebbie.com and you can see the event right there. It's a standard donation, or if you're feeling very giving, you can give more than the standard donation. But once you give the donation to Mission 22, you get the Zoom link for that event. So mental health is, as we continue to learn over and over again, it's such an important part of our lives. And so it's really cool to be able to be a part of this and help give to an organization helping out with mental health. So again, that's this Saturday from 9 to 3, and I'll be on at 1:45. So go to transcendwithdebbie.com and you'll see the event right there. And you can make your donation and be a part of something really cool that's going on this weekend. And, you know me, I'm always promoting ghost conferences. So we got the Oregon Ghost Conference next year. I'm already talking about it, and I have been, but it's March 22nd through the 24th, and you can go to OregonGhostConference.com. It's down in Seaside, Oregon. Really fun place to hang out, bring the family. So I look forward to that conference already. I had a blast this year at it. Then there's the OC Paracon coming up October 6th through the 8th at Hotel Lulu down in Anaheim, California. This is their second year in person for the conference. And I had such a blast at the conference last year. So if you're down in that area in Southern California or looking to travel that way in October, be sure you check out ocparacon.com. Looks like they've got a great lineup of speakers and events going on there. So and that's hosted by Henry San Miguel. He's the host of Paranormal Perception, along with the guys from Unearthing the Supernatural. So check it out, ocparacon.com. And then, of course, this November 10th through 12th, we have the 14th annual Port Gamble Ghost Conference coming up. I can't believe 14 years. I've been a part of it for 13 years. Wasn't there for the first one, but very excited for this year. We've got applications for speakers, vendors, and classes out right now. If you go to portgamble.com, go to the upcoming event or the events tab, and you'll see the Ghost Conference there. So applications are out if you're interested in being a vendor or teaching a class or being a featured speaker. Applications are there. Get them in. We're already starting to receive some. And you can always get to that Ghost Conference page by going to my website at portgambleparanormal.com. And you can click the conference button right there on the home page, and it'll take you right where you need to go. So looking forward to planning going for that this year. For the first time, we're going to be utilizing two venues in Port Gamble here. So we'll have the conference activities in the Port Gamble Theater, the historic theater built in 1906, and then also the Hood Canal Vista Pavilion, which is not old. It's built in 2009, but we're going to have both venues to work from. So I'm very excited for that. And I think we're going to be planning some fun events and mixing it up this year. So for the 14th annual, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'll be hosting a few summer ghost walks. Tried it out last summer for the first time and had a blast doing it. So I'll have tickets available real soon. This weekend, I hope to launch the tickets for those. It'll be June 23rd, July 7th, and August 11th. And the summer ones seemed to, last year they went really well. We had some experiences during the tours. And so we'll see what happens this year. But you can find out information for that. Or if you want to book a reading with me sometime, all at portgambleparanormal.com. So tonight's guest, I'm excited to talk to her. I met her in person at the Oregon Ghost Conference. She has such a cool setup. Her show, I Talk to Ghosts, is very well done. And so throughout tonight, listening to her talk, I hope you'll go check out her show. But Jennifer Page is a professional spirit medium and spooky podcaster. Having grown up in multiple haunted houses, she's been fascinated by ghosts her entire life. Being a green witch, she loves to connect the spooky with the spiritual and shares both topics on her podcast, I Talk to Ghosts. Jennifer lives in the Pacific Northwest with her partner Maxwell and their black cat, Amulet. Let's give a big Paranormal Pete Show welcome to Jennifer Page. Hey.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. This is going to be fantastic.
I know it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for making time to come on the show. I know, everyone in the world now. I mean, I feel more busy than ever, and maybe you do too. But thanks for making the time.
Of course.
To everybody out there as well, feel free to chime in, say hi. We'll say hi, or if you have a question, for Jennifer or myself, I think we'll do our best to answer. But Mary Phipps checking in. Hey, Mary. And we also have Luana coming in from YouTube there. Thanks. Yeah, just jump in the comment section and say hi. And we'll see you there. So thanks for watching, everybody. And so Jennifer, what have you been up to lately?
Well, you mentioned the Oregon Ghost Conference, which was amazing. It really was. Just working on the podcast since then and getting ready for Haunted America in June. We'll be
Oh,
going to that.
nice.
Yeah, in Alton, Illinois.
Oh, nice. So you're going to be traveling then, heading over there. And what are you
Yeah.
most looking forward to at that event?
Well, I've never been there before. And I'm looking forward just to the whole atmosphere of it. It seems to have a very historical vibe as well. And I don't know, I just had such a great time at the Oregon Ghost Conference, how welcoming and enthusiastic everyone was. I just want to get back into the paranormal community and mingle some more.
Yeah, well, I think you've got some really great things to offer, and so it's not, I think it goes both ways. So, well, very cool. Well, I wish you good luck on that, and I hope to hear about it. I've
Absolutely.
never I've never been to that event, but maybe someday. And congratulations, you last week had episode 40, right, on your show.
I
Congrats on
did.
that. Yeah, every 10 episodes, doesn't it feel like, oh, I achieved that. That's cool.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's still a fairly new show. I started the end of last August, so to me, it's just like a blur, and it's only been like a couple months. But it's like, no, it's been over half a year. But it's great to be able to count and see it. Like I'm looking forward to my 50th episode too, and and
Yes.
100th and beyond. And congratulations to you for just hitting your 100th.
Oh, thanks.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't think I would make it there, but I did.
Right?
Well, so your show, I Talk to Ghosts, and go to italktoghost.com, and you can get episodes there and learn about all the things that you do. What what was it that made you make the jump into doing a podcast?
Well, I had a former podcast with my partner, Maxwell, called Odd Tonic, and we covered the paranormal, weird history, strange science. And we went on hiatus, and then the pandemic happened. But I always really have had such an interest in the paranormal, and I missed podcasting. And I thought,
Yeah.
well, what can I do? I can share ghost stories, right? And so that was kind of the beginning of it. And there was one day where I was trying to figure out what to name it. And I think I wanted to name it like Spooky Tea or something like that because love my tea. But I think that was taken. And, a name is important to me. And I was pulling out of the driveway one day and it was just mentally suggested to me, why not call it I Talk to Ghosts? And I'm like, I love that. And so that was what I was going to name it, even
Yeah.
though at the time I wasn't even doing mediumship yet. So now it fits even more. And I'm just kind of tickled by that as well.
Yeah.
But yes, the ghost stories and sharing paranormal experiences is really what motivated me because I read so many ghost stories and the ones that stick with me, are the ones I want to share on the show.
Right on. And storytelling is super important. We got somebody checking in here, Mr. Michael Christopher. Good evening. Thanks for watching. Yeah, storytelling is such a like from doing ghost walks and learning, the history of Port Gamble and sharing that history and telling that history. It almost becomes addicting, storytelling. And so talk about what does it mean to you to be able to share these stories with others? What's the coolest part about it? What makes it important to you?
I think the emotion behind it, if you can convey the feelings involved with these kind of experiences and be able to transport a listener into the storyteller's point of view and make it feel like it's their own. I tend to pick first person storytelling, and
Okay.
maybe that's one of the reasons why I do that. And just to be able to convey a tone and a vibe and even the pacing of it. And I love to set it to pieces of music
Yeah.
and sound effects when I can, just to really pull someone in. And it's just something that I'm enthralled with. I just absolutely love it, and I agree. It's in a way, it's an art form, and I just want to treat these stories with such respect. And I just I'm always looking for new ways to deliver a story, new techniques. Just I'm just always the attention to detail is
Yeah.
one of the things I love about it.
Yeah, it's very cool, and your, the production side of your podcast done very well. It really
Thank you.
does immerse you in a story, and so that's really cool. Um, so what do you think? This is just kind of a goofy question.
Sure.
Uh, you know, about the importance of storytelling and keeping a story alive. Do you think in some of the stories that you share that you talk about, some of the ones you've read over the years, those you mentioned, those ones that stick with you.
Mhm.
Do you believe that on the spirit side of things, telling stories that helps them that helps them in some way in spirit form by sharing someone's story, by keeping it alive? Have you had experiences any with spirit where they've communicated that to you? Like, do you think by keeping a story going, by telling someone's story, keeping their memory alive, that helps them on the other side?
I think that's a really moving way to look at that, and it's true, like, with conveying the emotion of stories and just you're right, it's keeping a memory alive, you know? I haven't had direct communication of, like, a thank you or anything like that, but I will tell you that when I pay attention to the phenomena and different stories and that energy level of excitement, kind of raises, it seems to attract more activity in my life.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about that. Like, the more paranormal stuff you watch, the more ghost stories you read, the more
Mhm.
activity is attracted to you. And so, like, have you noticed after a night of reading, curling up with a book and reading ghost stories, that, like, do you ever have stuff happen in your house?
Well, it used to happen a lot more until I started setting office hours, but
Okay.
but there has certainly been times where I remember when I was watching. I think the name of the movie is called A Ghost Story. It's not The Ghost Story. I think it's called A Ghost Story. And while watching that, um, I didn't specifically set office hours, and all throughout the movie, I kept seeing glimpses of movement, almost like, shimmers, like
Okay.
heat wave shimmers in the room.
Yeah.
It happened 4 or 5 times, and I'm like, "Okay, maybe I'm a little too into this, or maybe I have to pay attention to something that's going on, or maybe I just have to say, 'Hello, thank you for being here. Bye-bye.'"
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because
Yeah.
that's an important part of working as a medium. Work life balance, right?
Mm. Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, you gotta have that. Talk a little bit about your office hours. Like, what drove you to do that? How'd that go for you? And then, like,
Uh-huh.
have you found that it works? And tell us a little bit about setting your rules and why it's
Yeah.
important.
I think that's a really great question. I don't hear it talked about a lot. Before I really dove into mediumship, I had a lot of haunted activity, like you had mentioned with my bio, that I've lived in quite a few haunted houses. And I've always considered myself a bit of a ghost magnet. In fact, I think that most people who consider themselves a ghost magnet, I suggest, have you ever thought about exploring mediumship? Because there might be a reason for that, you know?
Right.
And before I started practicing mediumship, I would have to be careful about my attention level or my emotional excitement about the whole thing. And it seemed like it was connected. And through mediumship, I learned the concept of metaphysically setting office hours. For me personally, I do not like to be woken up when I'm sleeping.
Who does, right?
Yeah. Well, you're at your most vulnerable, you're not ready for it, and no matter what the experience is, benign or not, it's startling, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was the first thing I did was like, "Look, if there's something that needs to be said, can it just wait till tomorrow? Please understand, I need my sleep, and I'm just not gonna be receptive if I'm woken up at 3 in the morning," you
Yeah.
know? And so that has really helped. But I do find that when I have a reading booked, like the attention has been set,
Mhm.
sometimes I have to start paying attention right then and there for impressions and images that start coming in, or definitely the day before when I really start thinking about, oh, I'm going to be meeting with so and so, pay attention,
Yeah.
or how's it going to be? And sometimes a little bit after a reading too. I always tell my sitter, the person I'm reading for, that sometimes things come in afterwards too, and I'll let you know if they do. But I set the intentions of just, this is appropriate. This is when you have my attention, and you'll get the most out of our interaction with the spirits. And when I'm not, I just try to um, dampen it, turn it off. Rooms in my house, I claim my space, fill it with my own love and energy. And I also have a ring that I wear, and normally I'll have it turned one way or the other if office hours are on or not. It's not that it's a magic ring, it's a mental exercise for me to do, so that I know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an practice of activation, and it's simple and it's easy, and if I forget, that doesn't matter. It's not like,
Yeah.
"Oh, the reading's gonna stink because I can't find my magic ring." Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so it's just another little thing that you can do to kind of claim your space and claim your mindset.
That's really cool. I haven't really heard of doing something like that
Mm,
to set your intention to kind of, personally, you do it for yourself, not
mhm,
necessarily for spirit, but as it's like a mental thing to say,
mhm,
okay, now I'm doing this.
mhm.
That's really cool. So when you're off office hours, or when you're shutting, you're shutting
Mhm,
down metaphysical shop for the day, is there a process you go through? Is there like a certain visualization?
mhm.
How does that work for you? For me, sometimes if I need to turn things off or want to turn things off, I visualize, I have a big door in my
Mm,
abdomen and I'm like shutting that door.
nice.
What do you do to kind of turn things off?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, maybe not turning things off is maybe not the best way to describe it, but
Sure.
shutting down for a time.
Mhm, mhm. Well, after a reading, obviously, I thank the spirits and, you know, wish them well on their
Yeah.
journey elsewhere. But if I really need the downtime, I'll just say, "Okay, just not right now." Again, pushing out my own energy, kinda creating a bubble, my space in my house.
Yeah.
There are so many times in life when you're walking around doing your own business, all of a sudden something will hit you because it's not like you broke the rules or anything. It just happens,
Yeah.
and that's fine. But usually, I picture a dial, like turning it down,
Yeah.
and like dampening it. But at the same time, I have such an analytical mind that it pushes it out sometimes too, so that's really interesting as well. I've got this duality, and like
Yeah.
my analytical mind constantly wants to understand my spiritual side, and it's like, no, 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 sorry, you're just going to hurt yourself.
You're gonna break the
Namely
brain.
me. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna break me, so
Yeah.
please no. And you just got to be gentle with yourself, with your analytical mind.
Yeah. Well, so when I hear someone say analytical mind,
Mhm.
usually the next word I think of is skepticism.
Right.
And so it sounds like you do carry some skepticism. I mean, how does that work for you? That's hard to
Yeah.
do. I started as an open skeptic when I started
Mhm.
researching the paranormal, and then I feel like I quickly became a believer, but I still have some skepticism with things, and
Sure.
it is kind of hard to balance because part of being a medium is you have to trust yourself, right?
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
how, like, have you found a challenge in that? Like trying to, like you said,
Mhm.
your analytical mind's always trying to understand and explain the spiritual mind. What kind of challenges come out of that for you?
Sure. Well, first, with my analytical mind, with anything, I would never blindly say, "Oh, it's definitely ghosts." In fact, I drove my partner crazy for a while because I wouldn't label something as a ghost because what if I didn't know? It could have been anything in the universe that I don't understand. It's just presenting itself in my brain as a ghost, and it's like,
Sure.
just say it's a ghost. And it's like, I don't know if I can. That's how analytical I get. But I think that for the most part, my analytical brain just really seeks to understand. And with most mental activities, I think the ego wants to rip something apart until it'll be able to hold it tangibly and
Mhm.
explain it and say, ah, this is this. And
Right.
so much of the spiritual world is not mental clarification. You feel it, and you
Right.
just know, and you know. So when I catch myself, like a great example is before a reading, when I know I'm going to have a spirit reading with someone, all I have is a first name, Jamie.
Mhm.
And then my analytical brain will say, like, well, what can we kind of think about Jamie? And I'm like, no, 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 no. That never works. That's never gonna work. Shh. When I get into the space, then I'll feel it and I'll know. And I
Yeah.
just have to trust that when it's time to get there, it'll be there for me. It's
Yeah.
kind of like being a really hot, humid day and trying to feel cold. It's like, no, you're in a different space. You can't be in a blizzard and remember what Arizona feels like and being, at the same time. And you
Sure.
have to trust in that your space is going to be different and it's going to you're just using a different part of your gifts than just your mental thought capacity, and whenever I catch myself doing it, I'm like, no, 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 are you even meditating right now? No, you're grocery shopping. What do you think is going to happen right now? So it's funny. I think that
Yeah.
being a human being is a very amusing experience, and it'll always be delightfully unpredictable.
Yeah. So I think something out there that's way bigger than all of us has found it amusing and have kept
Yeah.
us going, right? Let's see what happens now.
Yeah.
Um, so do you have you ever had the experience like grocery shopping, you're out and about or running errands and the universal 2x4 smacks you and is like, you start really picking up on
Yeah.
something. That's happened to you?
Yeah. Yeah, it
And
it it definitely has, yeah.
yeah, and do you feel like, when you go into, like, a big store, there's lots of
Oh
people,
gosh.
do you feel everyone else's junk,
It's hard.
their
Yeah.
bad energy,
Well, yeah,
good
and
energy, whatever it is?
yeah, too much energy. I've always had an issue with crowds, and I just love going out into the woods. It's just so much quieter. You can just tell the difference. But yeah, I've definitely had experiences where whether it's a good vibe or a bad vibe, or
Yeah,
oh, I can tell this person was in the military, and all kinds of different information comes in, or ooh,
yeah,
problem with family member, or anything. And I think that the interesting thing about that is trying to figure out what to do with that information.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not like I'm given the information with instructions on it, and you can easily get into that ethical discussion of this person is not expecting any kind of spiritual
Right.
moment in aisle 5 in the bread aisle. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's
It's
that.
it's hard to hold back sometimes, but when something is coming through so strong
Mhm.
and so do you think let me ask this. Um the empath part of ourselves, I think everybody has that in some way, right?
Mhm.
Um do you think you have to utilize empathy to be a medium, or you know what I mean? Do you
Mhm.
is every medium an empath, I guess is what I'm asking.
Mm. I
What
would
do you think?
imagine it that has to be in there somewhere. You do run the risk of cyclically reading your sitter instead of communicating with spirit instead. And
Yeah.
you can sometimes, I could tell where the energy is coming from. But for me, when I try to connect with spirit, the first thing I do is try to connect with clairsentience, with
Mhm.
feeling. When I can
Okay.
feel them, feel their personality, feel their emotions, feel just kind of their essence,
Yeah.
that's when I feel like, from here, we can get into other details and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's just one of the more reliable ways that it works. And, some people, they're a little confused about what empathy is. And I just say, okay, if you have your eyes closed and with no sound at all, no doors opening, no footsteps, no nothing, no breath, can you feel someone coming in the room or not? Like someone real, someone living,
Right.
and that's kind of how I explained it to my daughter. I'm like, if you're in a room and you close your eyes, can you tell if someone's in the room with you? And she's like, oh yeah, absolutely. I go, well, there you go. You know,
That's a great way to explain it, by the way.
Oh, thank you. And, usually if someone comes into the house or you brush past someone, you feel what they're feeling, especially if they're having a strong emotion. You feel it
Mhm.
like it's yours. There is no difference.
Right.
And that can sometimes be an issue for me with spirit readings. If I'm going if I'm going to have an appointment with someone and that person who I'm reading for is really nervous, like, I get on the call, I'm like, "You're nervous, aren't you? Because it's making me nervous." And it's, like, always right, but then it's like
Yeah.
there's that reassurance of, "Okay, I know I'm onto something, I know there's a link there," because it's true,
Right.
and you just have to support yourself through any kind of process.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Great way to put all that. And
Thank you.
we've gone through the first half hour already. It's
Wow.
flown by. So we're going to take a quick station break here on WLTK-DB.com. I'm your host, Pete Orbe on the Paranormal Pete Show with special guest Jennifer Page. And we got a lot of shout outs to come back on the other side of the break. So stick around. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back to the Paranormal Pete Show here with special guest Jennifer Page. And we got some shout outs I got to get to here. SF Town 99. Hello. Thanks for watching. Good friend of the show, Transcend with Debbie Romero. Hey, thanks for watching. Trudy checking in as well, saying hi to other people watching as well. Hey, everybody. Hi, Luann. Boy, there's lots of comments coming in. And Trudy saying, hi, Pete and Jenner. Thanks for watching, Trudy. Appreciate it. So before the break, we were kind of talking about, what it's like for you in some ways with mediumship. And earlier we were talking about storytelling and the importance of it and kind of how it's been throughout your whole life. And so tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up. When did you first have an experience where you're like, okay, what was that? Something's different, or how'd that go for you? What was like your first experience that you can remember?
Well, actually, and I cover this a little bit on my podcast about my first experience with a ghost. I was 2 years old, and I know I was 2 because my younger sister hadn't been born yet. I don't even think, like, my mom was carrying her yet,
Okay.
and we're 3 years apart.
Okay.
So, I was young. We went to Disney World in Florida, and I remember the whole trip, actually.
That's cool.
Mickey Mouse is a big influence, no, big impression on my life. But I was on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride,
Hmm.
and it was, kinda scary, canyon blasts and whatnot, pirates and dogs with jail keys in their mouths, and,
Yeah.
but towards the end of the ride, we were approaching this one platform, and I noticed this greenish glowing figure of a man, and he was looking at me, and I immediately knew this was not part of the ride. And as our boat was approaching the platform, he was coming to the edge of the platform, and when we passed him, he jumped into our boat, and I just started screaming and climbing into
Wow.
the back bench and hiding in my mom's arms, and they thought I was afraid of the ride, and, just hid there, and, thankfully, we were near the end of the ride, and when the ride stopped, he wasn't in the boat with us anymore,
Hmm.
and, like, that how do you forget that? I still remember to this day
Yeah.
him climbing into the front of the boat and riding with us, I guess. It was just the weirdest thing,
Yeah.
and, throughout my childhood, I was a Navy brat, so we moved a lot,
Okay.
and just our home in Connecticut had some haunted activity, and places that I've lived as an adult. And the funny thing is about childhood is when you're a kid, everything is new and strange to you, you know,
Right.
and it's almost like looking back, it's like, wow, that was weird. How come I didn't question that more as a child? But you're still learning,
Yeah.
when something happens to you and it's the first time, like the first time I ever had like a premonition dream, I thought it was really cool and really neat. And I told my parents, but did I question it as to, nah, that can't happen or whatever? I thought it was just a new thing that I didn't discover about life, like the bigger crayon box with more colors. You're just like, this exists, cool,
Yeah. Did you as you were growing up as a kid and getting having more experiences, did it like when did you figure out that well not everybody else is seeing this or experience seeing a ghost? I hear
Yeah,
that a lot from mediums that I've had on the show. It's always an interesting thing when they say, well, when I was 9, I figured out, well, not everybody else is seeing
mhm,
the ghost kid that's along with us playing.
yeah.
When did you have an experience like that where you were like, you've realized?
I think it was more of just hearing the chatter in life. Ghosts aren't real. This isn't real. This is Halloween stuff. Just
Mhm.
hearing that commentary throughout my life. Even like, I remember when I was 5 thinking about, oh, in my past life, this would have been a carriage. And back in the day, there wasn't electricity. And like coming up with the concept of reincarnation And then it's like, where'd that come from if it's not true? Having never heard of it before. But then as you go through life, people start
Yeah.
commenting and just saying like, oh, some people believe this, some people believe that. And just, uh, you know, I think you just kind of learn by paying attention, because kids usually you want to feel safe, you want people's approval, you know what is a taboo subject and what isn't, because
Yeah.
just, group mentality of being a human being, you want to be able to belong, and
Right.
not necessarily agree, but that it's like, oh, not everyone believes in fairies and nature magic and ghosts, and that's okay. But I'm gonna believe what I want to believe, what feels right to
Yeah.
me, what feels
Right.
right to me.
Exactly. Well, and hopefully, everybody tries to live like that. I don't think
Yeah,
that's the case, but,
yeah,
um,
we're working
so
on it.
yeah, there you go. There you go. Did you in coming up, as you're getting, growing up, getting older, um, was there someone that you worked with to kind of help you with your gift? When you were like, okay, I'm gonna talk to ghosts now. you know,
Right?
did it, how did you just kind of learn on your own? Was there somebody that you talked with? Did you find a mentor basically?
Oh, that would be nice. Um, when I was doing On Tonic, um, when that was the podcast that I was telling ghost stories on, I had a brief conversation with another medium. I was not a medium at the time, and she said, the second I heard you on the show, I was like, she's a medium. And I was like, what? What? Who, me? What? No, 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 no. And I took that I went, no. I was saying no, no, no for like a year.
Yeah, yeah.
No, no. And it was after I got into energy work and energy healing and doing remote energy Reiki sessions for people
Okay.
that unexpectedly, completely not prompted, spirits would start coming in to assist. And um, I was like, okay, sure. And then after the fact, when I give a feedback session to someone about, like, here were my impressions, these were my findings, this is the energy I focused on. And by the way, I think I met your mom, or just,
Yeah.
you know, and those details were lining up. And I was like, huh, that's really interesting. And also, I love it. And from there, I got really curious. And I had in the back of my mind that, oh, well, that medium said I was a medium, and maybe I should explore this. This feels really good. And so I started reading books. I took some online classes. I did some online workshops,
Hmm.
and just really, like, the first online workshop I took, there was an hour-long lecture, and then we broke up into smaller one-on-one groups and did
Hmm.
medium readings on each other. And I was like, I had no idea this was going to happen. And if I had known, I don't know if I would have had the nerve to do it. But it
Yeah.
worked. It
Yeah.
worked. And from there, it was just like, there's something here. There's something amazing here. And I was just saying just today, when you discover that you can do something like this, how could you not do it?
Yeah.
And I'm just constantly trying to learn more, practice more, know myself, know my guides, and not challenge myself, but kind of surrender myself. Like, how far can this go? And with that same material world life balance, because you can't be all spiritual all the time. You still have to do your laundry. But I find the whole thing just so fascinating and so moving, and I almost feel like I'm an observing participant myself. Like, can you believe that happened? No, I can't believe that happened, but it happened.
There's your analytical mind speaking
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah.
exactly. And we're having a conversation with each other like, that happened. That really happened. And like I love to take notes uh, for my readings, and all these readings, you can't say that this is all coincidence,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I just, my analytical mind just has to be quiet in
Yeah.
that case, because it's like, okay,
I'll
you
show you
know,
mine too.
okay, yes, you got the scribbles and everything too. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like, you're filling up a book full of experiences and other
Yeah.
people's shared experiences. And it's just so wondrous and strange and beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's just like how I can't imagine not doing it,
Yeah.
and yeah, I know I'm going off on tangent a little bit, but it's just so amazing and so
Yeah.
wonderful. And I'm so thankful. I'm just so
Yeah.
thankful for the opportunity to have a glimpse of any of this.
Yeah.
I
I think
just think, yeah.
such a great mindset to have too. To it's an honor to have the gift, and it's an honor to do the work. It's an I feel the same way. Um, Let me ask this. So,
Mhm.
with all the readings you've done, and even your own inner work where you've looked within, what's been like? What's one of the biggest things that spirit has taught you? That's a big question, I guess.
Yeah. Well, things that like the profound moments for me was realizing that it's not on or off. It's always on. It's always like I was kind of having a conversation with my guide about, okay, dive into the pool. You're in the spirit pool, and it's like, but the truth is there is no pool. It's all connected all the time. I'm always a soul. I'm always a spirit.
Right.
Therefore, I'm
Right.
always connected. We all are, and it's a matter of where we put our attention and focus and how we're kind of melting into blending, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's really profound, and um, just the completeness of it is very comforting. And
Yeah.
I could go in a little bit. I had a bit of a out of body experience before I even really started mediumship, and getting that sense of how much this world is just a wrapper that we buy into. We buy into this world a lot because we
Yeah.
can feel it and we're here, but this is just a playground, and I think that when we can look at it with that attitude, it makes a lot of sense. It really
Yeah.
starts to make sense.
Yeah. I again, great way to answer that question, and great way to state it. I really like saying, it's something I think people lose. Uh, I'm always a soul.
Yeah.
Always, and so therefore I'm this, so therefore, and um I think that's an amazing concept that I think gets lost a lot. I talk a lot about on my tours and stuff about remembering the human connection with quote unquote ghosts.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, Now there are other things out there. I think I just haven't experienced them, but ghosts were people once too, right?
Yeah.
And so it's putting that human connection to it, but you've that statement kind of flips it around. I'm always a soul, and we
Hmm.
we lose that. And I
Hmm.
think even people doing readings and paranormal investigations and whatever you're doing, like, we forget that we're a soul. We're looking at other souls. We're
Yes.
looking into other things, and we have to remember that's a really really cool thought.
Thank
Um,
you. I love
that
talking about stuff like this. I really
Yeah,
do.
it's a I think there could be a really interesting stream of consciousness just from that,
Hmm.
but just remembering that you yourself are always a soul, so therefore I'm always connected. That's very cool. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
That'll stick with me, that one. We got we
My
got
job is
Susanna.
done.
Nice. Susanna checking in. She's saying yeah, this is very basic. And I think maybe Susanna, are you meaning like the physical life? It's very basic.
Or
And
this is
then,
just foundational, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And Debbie agreeing, yes.
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And so you mentioned reincarnation earlier, and so I have kind of a fun question
Okay.
for that. So someone told me once, and it was a guest on my show. I think it was last year, and it kind of made me think, just like your comment now, just made me think that we're on this planet, we're on in this plane, realm, whatever you want to call it, to learn something before we continue our journey. In your experience with talking to spirit, ghosts, people's loved ones, what do you think it is? Is it different for everybody, or is there something overall that you think we're supposed to learn while we're here in this physical sense?
I think that the majority of the time, I believe, and this is open for future
Yeah,
answers, you know, you can change your answer at any time, right? In pencil.
absolutely.
Um, I feel as if we're here to have this singular experience. What is it like to affect the material world? What is it like to feel the sun on your, you know, what is it like to affect reality, grow things, you know, interact with others, with the senses, the five senses and those that we know of.
Hmm.
Just to have that experience and the consciousness, to be aware, to be a witness to this aspect of the universe
Right.
is is kind of where I approach it from. And it's awe-inspiring when you approach life in that way, because like no one's going to look through your eyes ever again. This is such a unique experience. And what are you going to do with it? You
Yeah.
know, so many people are like, what's my purpose? It's like, what do you want to do with your time? What do you want to experience? What do you want to contribute? What do you want to affect? You know, I often say if you kick a rock, you're manifesting something. That rock would not have moved if you didn't exist, see it, have a thought, decide, and act upon it. And, you know, all art and all creation can be seen, you know, from that point of view too. And be that powerful ability to shape your reality and share it with others. That's what I think we're here for.
Yeah. And that's powerful stuff, when you're thinking like that and have that as a mindset.
Yeah,
Really cool. And Susanna's commenting back saying, we're all spirits having human experiences.
exactly.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
good.
Exactly.
Good way to put it. Well,
Yes.
we're getting close to running out of time here. So I want to talk about your podcast a little bit more. I Talk to
Okay.
Ghosts. So everyone listening out there, it's italktoghost.com. Go check it out. And so your most recent one, I haven't watched that one, but it's titled Creepy Paranormal 911,
Mhm.
and talking about first responders, medics, police,
Yes.
firefighters. Tell us a little bit about what you got into on this show.
Well, not only do I love the ghost stories, but sometimes you can focus on who's telling the story. And, first responders, even if like I've told stories in the past, like lawyers, doctors, people that you feel like aren't necessarily interested in the paranormal and have nothing to gain by telling their story, or it could even cast a bad light on their career a little bit.
Right.
Like, oh, maybe he needs a vacation or, something like that. And
Yeah.
so I love hearing stories from people who were just going about their day, going about their
Yeah.
job, really intensely focused, and something they can't explain happens. So I found a couple of stories like that. Those stories tend to stick with me because they bump you. That person is bumped out of their life, you're bumped, and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, I was just doing XYZ and then this
Yeah.
happened. So I try to find things that, not just ghost stories, but like those kind of angles. Like this week, I'm covering vanishing houses. And I think like, are they ghost houses? Are they time slips? What are they? It's just
Oh, that's
interesting.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. One thing I think is cool about, you mentioned it's not necessarily sometimes the story, but it's who's telling the story,
Mhm.
who had the experience. And when you think of like first responders, lawyers, doctors, like those people for their jobs have to be credible,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
And so that makes it even more interesting when you've got a policeman who's had an experience.
Mhm.
A great friend of the show, James Clarkson, is a UFO investigator. He was police. That was his career. He
Yeah.
was he was a policeman. And he has to be credible for his career. And so when you hear somebody talk about a UFO experience or a ghost experience, someone from that field, it's cool because it's like there's
Mhm.
a layer of credibility that I
Absolutely.
think is innate, just because of the type of person they are,
Mhm.
type of person they have to be for their job. So that's a really cool concept, and I look forward to listening to that one.
Excellent.
Um, do you have so you were at the Oregon Ghost Conference, you're going to Haunted America. Do you have any upcoming reading events? Do you have any upcoming events that you're, in the summertime? Or, what's it looking like for you?
Well, I'm gonna go try and check out Crypticon just as an attendee.
Yeah,
But yeah, we have Haunted America. Definitely going to Port Gamble in the fall.
right on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I also have I bought a minibus that I converted into a seance parlor, tarot reading bus. So, like, there's a
Whoa.
Victorian fireplace in it. I drive it, and usually I park it outside of a haunted house event in October. And like I'm trying to form what I'm doing this year as far as the tarot bus
Mhm.
and readings in there. I'll have to send you pictures, but it's really cool. But that's something that's on my mind, and I I like woohoo. And
Yep.
yeah, I'm always thinking about new events and things that I can do. Anyone can always contact me to book for a private reading. I also have a sign up where you can sign up to have a reading on the podcast for free, because I share an in studio reading every episode. If anyone is ever curious about mediumship or what one of my readings might be like, I share
Yeah.
them. I love to share my work because then I don't have to just tell, I can show you, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kinda how my year's forming. The cement isn't even laid, let alone mixed and,
Yeah,
set
sure.
yet. So it's always free forming, I think.
Well, I think the bus thing is pretty cool.
It's
I
pretty
hope
cool.
that yeah, I hope that you can just continue to develop and grow that, and that's a really neat concept.
Mhm. I love
Um,
it.
yeah. Do you have it, like, painted up? Do you have, like,
Yes.
graphics on it?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, like, the whole outside of it is black. I'm still working on it's a work in progress. I wanna make it kinda look like it ran into a Victorian mansion, but the
Okay.
inside has, like, tin ceiling, woodwork, drapery, a fireplace, Victorian couch, Victorian chair, throw rugs, tea cart, candles. It
That's
has
cool.
yeah, and, because I just wanted to create this space that I could take anywhere with
Yeah.
me, for tarot or spirit readings.
Yeah, very cool. I'm curious, what's the gas mileage like?
Oh, well, it's okay, but,
You
it's
can get
certainly
around.
not something to tour the country with.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Definitely a
funny.
local type of endeavor.
Yeah, well, we may have to have you bring it out to Port Gamble then in the
Oh, it
fall.
would be wonderful to see if I could try.
I think that'd be great.
Mhm,
Well, gosh, we're coming to the end here. Folks, if you haven't gone and looked yet, I put Jennifer's website up on the comments there. So everywhere we're streaming, it's on there. Go check out her website. If you're interested in booking a reading with her, you can do that through there. Check out the
mhm.
podcast. I really appreciate you taking time, like I said before, to making time to come on the show. It was a fun conversation, and I will have to have you on again, maybe in the fall, and see what you're up to. See if the bus is out touring around, But I'd love to have you back on the show, and I want to thank you for everything that you shared tonight, and your feelings of spirit, and you sharing your own experience too. This show always goes by so quick. We probably could have talked for another hour, I'm sure,
Absolutely.
about things, but appreciate you sharing everything that you did. And we got someone say, oh, thank you very much. Such an enlightening conversation. Thank you. That's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely.
I certainly hope that someone learned something each show. And
Mhm.
Susanna, good night. And thank you for watching. Thank you both. Good night, everyone, from Debbie. And don't forget, folks, go to transcendwithdebbie.com. Click on the Mission 22 event that's taking place this Saturday. Again, I'm super honored to be a part of that and to help out an organization who's focusing on mental health. So that's coming up this Saturday. Someone said, I want to hear more about disappearing houses. Well, you'll have to wait. You'll have to
Friday.
check out the show. You'll have
Mhm.
to check out the show. And again, thank you so much. And I always leave a show reminding people to be present when they can, consciously be present. Take a little bit of time each day if you can, or every other day, whatever it is, but take time to be there in the moment. Don't worry about yesterday. Quit thinking about tomorrow and just be there in the moment. And Jennifer, I'll give you any last word that you'd like to share.
Oh, just thank you so much. This has been a wonderful conversation, and I would love to do it again.
Great. Thank you so much. And have fun in Haunted America. Going to that, and Crypticon if you make it. I've been
Mhm.
to Crypticon before. It's fun.
Mhm.
I tried to get a table there, but they were sold out
Same.
this year. So
Yep.
next year I'm going to try and get a table there. But everybody out there, wishing you all a good week. I am off until July. So I'm taking a break from the show and kind of revamping things, and just to take a break from it all. But I'm super appreciative and grateful for everybody who watches the show each week or downloads it after the live show. Thank you so much. It's all the people listening that comment and learn something that really keeps me going. So this will be my first break from the station in 2.5 years. And so I'm looking forward to that, but I'm looking forward to coming back and sharing the show with everybody. So with that, Jennifer, thank you again so much. To everybody listening, watching, or maybe you're listening to the archive version, have a great week. Be well, be safe, and have fun. All right, all. Take care.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.